Welcome into the Daily Fix as we have this for you every day at noon around this time. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. I am Ron Hughley, host of the Daily Fix presented by Foolish Club Media. There in that small box, as you see there, that is Steven Serta in the rightful place where he deserves in that small box. The first thing I want to say, we appreciate all of you who've taken the time to check us out. If you're listening to us on Twitter, we appreciate you. If you're listening to us on YouTube, we appreciate you as well for that. First thing I need you to do, though, is head over to our YouTube page, Foolish Club Media. Like and subscribe, Foolish Club Media. We're up against a milestone, so we want to hit that. Please, this is the fastest, slowest developing digital program on the market today. So help us get
Kill
there
it.
by liking and subscribing. And remember, if you don't, you're preventing my three children from eating. Coming up here, not going to hold you long. Steve, I know you're going to be right in here. I believe with me. A gentleman here needs to go back to the drawing board. This is boy, nobody has taken a hit like this person because of one man and one change of the world. But he's got to go back to the drawing board. Former Chiefs offensive coordinator is lying to us on national television. We'll get to that, but I want to start here as it's Wednesday. You turn the page, and bam, the Chiefs. They've got, I think, the team in the division that if there was going to be a challenger, this would be the team, and that's the Chargers, who they play coming up. And as they turn the page, the one thing that be interesting to see if this follows, because I'll be honest, I don't even. You're gonna have to help me out, sir, because I don't know who this guy is for the Chargers. We have had a lot of complaints about tight ends and a lot of complaints about certain guys. If we look at 3 games in, Steve, what's happening with this defense, I think we're starting to see a trend, right? I can see it, right? If we're looking at game one, Steve, help me out. Answer this response. If we're looking at game one, who do you think Spags sat down in the defensive meeting room and the number one priority to slow down? Who do you think that person is? Week one for the Ravens.
Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews.
I think Derrick Henry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, I think it's still the running game. We're off to a rip roaring start here. I would have thought that the running game and Derrick Henry. Week one, I'll say I'm right. Although, if you want to look at those other two as well, Steve, they didn't get off in those games either. Mark Andrews didn't have a good game at all against the Chiefs. Zay Flowers had a couple of things, but it wasn't great. But to me, it would be Derrick Henry. He had 46 yards rushing. Week two, God, we better be on the same page here. Week two for the Bengals. Who is the person, Steve, that you think they wanted to stop?
Zach Moss.
Jamar Chase. Okay, now you're going to be an ass. Jamar Chase, 4 catches, 34 yards. And this last game against I'm not even going to ask you anymore. Against the Falcons, I believe it would be Bijan Robinson, who they would want to stop. And he goes 16 carries, 31 yards, 2 catches, 21 yards. And they got a huge stop on him on 4th down. It is becoming a trend, sort of, that the Chiefs are appearing to say, we're going to stop this. And their number one threat that they want to stop. And they have, as we've gone through it, clearly done it every week. Slowed down Henry, slowed down Chase, slowed down Bijan Robinson, the guys that can hurt them. This is becoming a thing. There may be other people that get going, like the tight ends, like Likely in the first game, the tight ends with the Bengals. Maybe Drake London had a little action in this game. But they are setting a trend, sort of, that they are stopping or slowing down the number one guy they intend to slow down. I don't know who that is for the Chargers this week. I guess maybe J.K. Dobbins, whoever it is. They are slowing. They are showing through 3 weeks. They're going to take away the number one thing.
Yeah, I think it for sure has to be J.K. Dobbins through 3 games for the Chargers. I know Quentin Johnson has looked
Yeah.
much better as a second-year player than he did as a rookie, and he's being utilized in a much better way. But, like, Quentin Johnson being your best wide receiver against Trent McDuffie is a matchup the Chiefs are going to win. Like, he doesn't stand a chance against Trent McDuffie. So it's going to be about slowing down their rushing attack because the Chargers are one of the run-heaviest teams in the NFL right now.
So, and when you look at what they've done the first 3 weeks, it's a really good sign because Derrick Henry, as we saw last week, who just went off on the Cowboys, Jamar Chase, who we saw last week, had his best game of the year against the Commanders on Monday night, and Bijan Robinson, we've seen they were able to slow all of those guys down underneath what they normally do. All right. Doug Pederson. Chiefs fans know Doug Pederson. He was the offensive coordinator here. He was one of the ones who was allowed to get a job as an offensive coordinator under Andy Reid. Well, only one other person wasn't allowed to become a head coach, Eric Bieniemy.
He also won a Super Bowl, like as a head coach.
He did. He won a Super Bowl. I'm just simply pointing out the facts. He was one of the offensive coordinators who was allowed to get a job. But I want to say Doug's completely full of it. He said after their dreadful loss, and it was bad, 47-10, and they have been bad to start this thing, he was non-committal on Trevor Lawrence, promised that there would be changes, non-committal on if Trevor was going to remain the starter, promised there would be changes, and said everything is on the table. And I would just like to say, Doug, you're full of it. You're full of all kinds of BS. There ain't no way that y'all just paid that man $55 million and made him the highest paid quarterback in the league before Dak signed, and that 3 games in, you are even kicking around the thought of benching him. That is a bold-faced lie. Now, you may change some running backs. You may change a guard. You may change a safety. You may change some of the things on that dreadful defense. But Trevor Lawrence is going to be the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars come hell or high water. Now, you want to fool around and build your case to get fired, Doug, again, you can keep trying that. But there is no way that Trevor Lawrence, 3 games in, is even a thought to be benched. But I will say, Steve, I don't know that I've seen something like this. He is really sucking. That interception he threw to Damar Hamlin, and I don't know if he had Damar in his prayers, and he said, to hell with this, Damar. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to really make this thing full circle on a Monday night when what happened to you 21 months ago. So here is a free interception for me to throw to you. I don't know what he was doing, but he had his receiver wide open, Steve, and he overlaunched him by about 15 yards and 20 yards too high. It was I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen Jameis do that.
It is pretty apparent at this point that Doug Pederson is like a vast majority of NFL head coaches, and he is not one of the coaches who can adapt to the strengths of the personnel that he has. He is one who can thrive when the situation is perfect for what he wants to run, as it was in Philadelphia that one season that they won a Super Bowl.
But Steve, the first year they were cool. They got to the playoffs. They almost beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, and their roster was probably better then because they haven't done a good job of drafting. They haven't done a good job of adding free agents. Like they've way overspent on average NFL players. Like Christian Kirk is a nice player, but he's still a limited wide receiver. Evan Ingram is a nice player who's had a resurgence in Jacksonville. Like neither of those guys are stars. They've overspent on the defensive side of the ball. They've done a poor job drafting. Their offensive line still sucks. And I think the offensive system just isn't really working for Jacksonville. So it's no shocker that Trevor Lawrence hasn't made this huge ascension yet because you can see all the tools being there. I just don't think the situation is good, and it hasn't improved at all over the last 2 seasons.
Well, we got to remember that situation. The way they've dropped after that year one is crazy. And I would say that Doug Peterson's ass is damn sure he'll get fired before Trevor gets benched. There ain't no way that Shad Khan, I believe that's the owner's name, Tony Khan's father of AEW, is benching that man. He's paying $55 million. Your ass is going to be fired first, Doug. And we know he fired Urban. We know he'll fire you quick. All right, finally, Steve, I got around to watching. Um, I I'm a weirdo. I like to record all of the award shows. I don't know why they really get me going. The Oscars does it for me. Then I try to go out and watch all of the movies that are nominated that look decent. I
And you
do it
watch
with
the
the Emmy.
Golden Globes too.
Oh, hell yeah! That's a combination of the movies and the shows. I love it all. I find that's how I get into new shows. It's how I got into Bad Monkey. It's how I've gotten into a couple of shows. I finally started watching. What is that? Murders in the Building. I said, all
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna flip it on. I finally started watching it. I'm looking at it. I rewatched it. I had to record it. Hey man, Jimmy Fallon's got some soul searching to do. Lauren Michaels over there as well. Like this is Steve. Like he's not even thought of to be, and I would think that the Tonight Show is supposed to be the standard bearer of late night television. Steve, do you know that he has not been, or the Tonight Show been nominated for an Emmy in that variety talk show category since 2016?
Yeah, it's because his show sucks.
What has happened since
His show's
2016?
awful. It's terrible.
Before 2016, he was nominated every year, and he was like the guy. I'm telling you, Steve.
Yeah,
Donald.
Stephen Colbert took over nighttime.
Well, it's not just Colbert. There are guys. The guy that comes on behind him, Seth Meyers, has been nominated for multiple years.
Seth Meyers is better than Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon sucks.
Seriously, hey, Jimmy Fallon has been. Nobody's been screwed more by Donald Trump. Well, maybe that's not true, but Jimmy Fallon has been screwed by the Donald Trump thing because now it is you got to get political. Kimmel, he's been nominated. He's up there. Obviously, Colbert finally found his footing when he started going really politics heavy. Obviously, the Daily Show and all that. He is the one that isn't working in that. He was working when he could play the games. I enjoyed when he did the little skit with J-Lo talking about his tight pants and the lip sync stuff. Like Ellen was great with Bitch Better Have My Money. But that stuff is gone, man. You can't just play games no more. You gotta hit this political landscape. And he just refuses. And he is since 2016. That's the year of Trump. He has just been looked at as the worst. I mean, James Corden was nominated. He's not even doing the show anymore.
And part of that is because he has refused to do that.
I think it's the big reason.
He's just tried to run out the same shtick over and over and over again all of these years. And it got old. Like Stephen Colbert, it took him a while to find his footing because he came from the Daily Show and had to figure out how to do nighttime as himself and not the character that he was playing like on his Comedy Central show. And then once the politics started consuming everything, it was like, perfect. This is exactly my wheelhouse. And Seth Meyers is really good at that stuff too. And Jimmy Kimmel's gotten better at it. Like Jimmy Fallon is just tired and his shtick is old at this point. Right. And then there's all these stories about how he kind of sucks. So I don't know Jimmy Fallon at all. He's
got to change it up, man. But you're right. I don't think it's since 2016, man. We're rolling almost 10 years. He's not trying to change it up. He desperately needs the temperature of politics to slide down for him to get back to his games working. He needs his little games to work. So we can sit down with Michelle Obama and they can wear the braces and dress up because nobody's feeling that thing. Damn it, Jimmy. Damn it. Hi, Mom and Courtney.